Hello and welcome to week 3 in 7311 Rhetorical Theory. I want to walk you quickly through the readings this week and talk a little bit about the reading summary. It's going to be a bit different than the week 1 and 2 reading summary, and so I just wanted to help you understand the difference there and get started with the text. So weeks 1 and 2 have been foundational. Week 1, we talked about the rhetorical situation from 2 points of view. Week 2, we leapt back into classical Greece to pick up with the sophists, and you saw that same kind of battle take place again and again. So Bitzer and Vats are not creating the wheel, they're kind of just spinning it over and over again. Hopefully you had a chance to read those other materials we found on Bitzer and Vats. If not, that's okay. But I think it's really interesting to look at where they went after that original article came out for Bitzer and then Vats' response. So lucky you, next time we teach this class, students will have to read those as well. Where I do want you to start this week is in our synoptic history book with Aristotle. Now, this is a fairly lengthy chapter, but it is also kind of a summary or overview of a lot of information in Aristotle. So read this chapter to kind of get a grounding in the scope of what he covered. Aristotle was very much a Renaissance man kind of before the Renaissance. So his entire body of work covers everything from philosophy to rhetoric to drama to politics, but we're going to be just reading from his rhetorical theory. And what Murphy et al. Do in this book is just give you an overview of kind of what he's speaking about in each section of the rhetoric. So, because Murphy and Hopman have already done the kind of overview summary of the sections of the text, you don't need to go through and summarize every single piece of this. So don't summarize their summary or summarize Aristotle's text necessarily. You're actually just going to be looking for and understanding those concepts out of the text as you read. So read this entire summary, and then go into Aristotle's actual rhetoric and read his actual words in all of book 1 and then just part of book 2. So you get a good idea of what Aristotle's tone was like. And one of the things I want to mention is that Plato taught through basically the Socratic method. So he questioned and kind of had these long dialogues with straw men figures of the time. So he might have a dialogue with Gorgias, not the real Gorgias, the made-up Gorgias that he created, in order to lead him to enlightenment about a principle. Aristotle was not that kind of guy. He was a cataloger. So you'll see a lot of this is how this is all the way through the work, and it can get tedious at times because he's literally just kind of laying out these principles. The principles that he laid out have carried over for 2,500 years. A lot of what we do, even in contemporary classrooms dealing with rhetoric, draw from the principles that Aristotle laid out in this text. So as you read, just kind of read with the idea in mind that this is a foundational document for even rhetoric and composition, and kind of see if you can hear echoes of what you do in the classroom resounding throughout this text. What I would like you to do in particular as you read, and I'm going to go to the website and point this out, are read for an understanding of these terms. So the reading summary this week is going to be a description of these terms, how Aristotle addresses them, and how you understand that they work. So these are going to be key to doing the first rhetorical analysis. So the reading summary should focus on describing, defining, and getting a good understanding of these key terms. And then at the end of the summary, we're going to go back to Nan Johnson's principles and focus in particular on the first and second points about rhetoric. So how does Aristotle address the first and second points? The assumptions about the nature of thought, language, and communication, and the dominant philosophical views of human nature and the effective response to discourse. So in other words, how does Aristotle view the rhetor's relationship with his or her audience? So define those terms and then go back to the text, and as you're reading through, think about how is Aristotle creating audience here. And this concept of audience is going to be really important as we make that leap between classical and contemporary, and even as we go from week 3 to week 4 and move from Greece to Rome. So that's the summary for this week. Jump in and get started with the readings and the discussion with your classmates. I'll be working on grading last week's reading summaries early this week. And please let me know, as always, if you have any questions. Thanks.